no matter where we come from. Okay, so last week, do you guys remember when we spoke about Moab? The place Moab? Autumn, do you know what Moab is? Your knowledge of the Bible is kicking now, girl. No, she's like, I don't know. Okay, so Moab is a place that we spoke about last week. And let me just make this smaller. So Moab is known as the wash basin of God's feet, is what they say. Because Moab was made by Lot. Lot's son, okay, Lot's older daughter had sex with him, and they had a child together. So his name was Moab, and then the kingdom Moab was made after that. So then the kingdom of Moab was known as made from incest. So they call that the wash basin of God's feet. They said it wasn't a very kind place for people to be from and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is just kind of take off from there. And we're not going to talk about Moab next. I have a visitor today. Everyone back there. Here we have a dog today. So, now, let's just take it back. Now, so Moab is, what happened was, Moab tried to rise up against the Israelites. So God told the Israelites, go and get Moab. And the Israelites at that time was ruled by Moses. And they went and they got the Moabs. And the Moab women were known as harlots, women that were no good. You don't touch them for Israelites. The reason why is because that's how Moab actually got the Israelites to curse themselves. Do you guys remember that from last week? So the Moab women were not to be touched. So now these Israelites, one was named Elimelech. I'm saying his name wrong. But so there was a gentleman, and he had a wife named Naomi. And Bethlehem is where they were from. They were Israelites. And Bethlehem went on famine. So they traveled all the way to decide to go to Moab. Well, while they were in Moab, they had 2 sons. And the 2 sons actually became a little bit older, but the husband died. So there was Naomi left with her 2 sons. And then the 2 sons married Moab women, Moabites. Now, the 2 sons died, and Naomi was left with the 2 daughter-in-laws. The 2 daughter-in-laws were named Ruth and Orpah. Has anyone heard of Ruth before in the Bible? Okay. Ruth was a Moabite. And so what happened was, Naomi was all upset, and she's like, my husband's gone, my children are gone, and she heard that Bethlehem was now doing good. The food was back and the land was plenty. So she said to her daughter-in-laws, you guys go back to Moab, stay in Moab, because they were like somewhere in between at this point, in the desert. Stay in Moab, go back to your families. And Orpah and Ruth said, no, we're not going to do that. And she said, you have to. What are you going to do, stay with me? I don't have any sons for you. And even if I was to get married right now and get a son, you guys are going to actually not get married until those sons are old enough for you to marry? She said, just go back to your place. So Ruth said, no way. So Orpah went. She left and she ran back to her people. Ruth said, no way. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your God will be my God. Where you die is where I will die. And she couldn't say no to Ruth, so she said, all right, let's go. So her and Ruth went back to Bethlehem. And Naomi got to Bethlehem, and people were very happy to see her. These are her people. And they said to her, Naomi, how are you? And she was all distraught, all upset. She said, don't call me Naomi no more. God has not done kindly with me. Call me Mara. And I think Mara means something like sorrow or something. So she was very upset. So here's Mara, and who used to be Naomi, and Ruth, and they are in Bethlehem. They have nothing to eat, very, very poor. And so Ruth said to Mara, please, let me go and glean barley. So that means going into the fields and getting barley. Now she was a servant, obviously, well, somebody who was just really not able to have a lot of money, so she wasn't even, she had to go and beg to go work in these fields. So they allowed her to beg. Now they allowed her to work. There was a gentleman by the name of Boaz. He was 20 years older than Ruth. And when he saw Ruth in the fields, he inquired about her. And he said, who's that woman there? And they said, well, she's just a woman that came, and she's Naomi's, Mara's daughter-in-law, and she has to beg to glean, and glean means to, again, take off stuff from the corn, from the barley and everything, and their grain, and then you go back and you sell it, or you go back and you cook it and eat it and everything. So they said she begged to glean, and so they let her, and he said, okay, you know what? Leave little pieces for her. Leave extras for her. Leave her alone, because women usually back in that day, it was very dangerous for them to go into the fields because they could be raped. It's all the way out in the farm area, so they could have been hurt and stuff, but he left a message for all the men, leave this one alone, do not touch her. And then he actually had her come to his table, and he said to her, I really respect what you're doing for Naomi. Naomi's husband, Elimelech, was my cousin. So they were kinsmen. And so he said, I really like what you're doing for my people. And then he gave her some barley, a big bag, and she took it home. And Naomi was like, whoa, this is very nice. And, you know, so then she went back, and Naomi told her, I don't know how many days later it was. It could have been just right away, or it could have been a week later, maybe even a month. But Naomi said to her, you know what you have to do? Now this is like what a real woman would do. She set her daughter-in-law right up. She said, listen, take off your widow's clothing. And then at nighttime, go and put yourself at the bottom of his bed. Cover yourself with his blankets after he finishes drinking and having it, you know, filled with food and filled with drink. And go surprise them and tell him that you're giving yourself to him. What's this? And he looked at her and he's like, this is a dream. What are you doing? Who is this woman by my bed? Now imagine, it must have been really dark because they didn't have electricity back in that day. And she said, it's Ruth, your servant. And he was like, oh. He's like, well, what's going on? She says, I come to give myself to you. And he was like, oh, okay. So he told her, he said yes to her. He said, let me figure some things out. Because back in that day, right, you don't just take a woman that's a widow. However, there was something that was called honorable. And if you are a kinsman to someone else, a kinsman to someone else, rather, then that means that you can actually take the widow, have a child with her, so the person who died, his seed can live on, and his memory can live on. So that's how he had, those are the things he had to figure out. Because, you know, he wanted this woman that was 20 years younger than him, and he was like, let me figure some things out. And it actually says that in the Bible. It does say he had to figure some things out. So he gave her 6 bags of barley, never mind one. And he told her, go back to Naomi and tell Naomi, Mara, that, you know, this is what we're planning. So he went and he told people in the kingdom that he's going to marry her, and he's going to honor his cousin's, his kinsman's name. So they did that. And they got married. And this woman from Moab now married into a very wealthy man. Okay? Not only that, him and her had a son named Obed, O-B-E-D. Obed had a son named Jesse. Jesse had a son named David. You guys ever hear of David and Goliath? Mm-hmm. David and Goliath. And Jesus came from the bloodline of David. And David ended up being a king himself. But isn't that amazing? So for me, looking at that, I'm from the hood. Autumn and I are from the hood. We were born, both of us, in Regent Park. Raised in Regent Park. Our dad died when I was 17, and she's only, what, 2 years older than me? How old are you? You're 5 years younger than me?
I was
6?
8.
Okay, so you're 7 years younger than me. Mm-hmm. Okay. I tried to play that one off, you know.
It's okay, I'll let you have that one.
That was smooth though, wasn't it? Okay, so, you know, how old were you, sorry?
I was 8.
8 when Dad died. Okay, so here my mom became a single mother, and it was tough for her to be in Regent Park and stuff. So we came from what people would consider in Toronto the gutter, and you know, the biggest housing community. And my mother had one of the best jobs there, and she raised 4 girls and a boy, and we all came out of it. And you know, we actually learned to be stronger from it. We learned how not to take on. And I love Regent Park, don't get me wrong, and I love every single person from it. But I learned exactly how to get along with the roughest of the roughest and be with the not so rough. And I loved it. So looking at Ruth, her coming from Moab, she must have really knew how to go to Boaz's bed and just be like, yo, I'm taking this. This man likes me. She was smart, but she remained loyal to him. And again, she had Obed with him. And that was it. So no matter where you come from, no matter what your influences are from when you were a child, that does not dictate your destiny. The destiny is from within. What you do with where you came from. And what you do every day makes a difference on where you're going in the future. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out through your mouth. One more time, through your nose. 1, 2, 3. Out. Bend your neck, your head from side to side. Feel the stretch. Other side, feel the stretch. Bend your head forward until you feel that pull. Don't pull too hard, but just enough to feel it. And back. Put your head to the back. Roll your shoulders. And move your back a little bit from side to side. Feel the energy in your toes. Wiggle your toes a little bit. Feel the life in your toes, the muscles. Think about how your toes look through your third eye. Send love to your feet, to the bones, to the blood flowing through them. Now let them rest. Imagine a beautiful white, brilliant light going from your feet, healing your feet, circulating all the necessary blood to go up to your calves. Flex your calves. Feel the muscles in your calves. Release them. Make them feel like elastic bands. Allow that energy now to go up to your upper legs, your thigh area. Flex. And release. Imagine them like rubber bands. Now allow that white, brilliant energy to go into the middle of your body to where all your organs are. If you have any pain or any issues with your kidneys, your colon, your bladder, your lungs, your heart, your stomach, anything at all, imagine a white light going through there, your intestines, white light just cleansing everything, taking out all the toxins. The toxins are coming out of your body and going into the universe and just dispersing and disappearing. Any pain in your back, release the tension. Allow that energy now to go up to your heart area and towards your neck. Feel the throat area being released. The energy inside your throat will help you to speak well to others and to express yourself to others in a way that they will understand you and you will get your point out. Imagine that white light now going up to your head, to your brain, cleansing out any of the neurons that are clogged, receptors, everything is cleared out. Imagine that your memory is being restored and feel good thoughts. Let that energy go to the top of your head and out. Now have your whole body relaxed, your fingers down to your toes, your neck, and your shoulders. Dear Heavenly Father, we'd like to thank you for life, thank you for today, thank you for our friends and our family. Thank you for bringing us all together. Divine Creator, it is so important for us to realize that it's not where we came from, but it's where we are right now and where we know we are headed. That is the most important thing. Our destiny is not marked by where we were born. Like Jesus was born in a manger. Until this day, he's one of the most popular, well-known people that has helped people, and he's a savior in many lives. Muhammad, he helped save people's lives in Islam. Abraham and Moses, no matter where you came from, you can be born in a tent in a desert, but you can become a king of any kingdom, a queen. We like to thank you for guiding us. We ask you for guidance on all our successful plans. When we have to move ahead, help us. Help us not sit down, but help us get up and move. When we have an idea, we know that it's you giving us that idea. Help us to fertilize it. Help us to understand and know that every action has a reaction. Help us to get out and become more successful. Help us to get across to people and help them, and have not only for financial success, but emotional success, mental success, spiritual success. We like to ask these things in your name, because we know that you created us for a reason, and we live this life for a very special reason. Thank you very much. We live you, we love you, we honor you, we thank you. Amen.
That was perfect, we live you.
We live
That was
you.
perfect, that was perfect, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, good, thank you.